Alright, as you can see, we've got some of our detail work done here. I've applied a black wash to the board, so that's darkened it nicely to a more asphalt color. Then I took and wiped down a lot of the surfaces with some as well. So I put a black wash over the top of this and then wiped most of it off. Used that leftover to kind of smudge up a lot of work. I've also gone ahead and done the checkerboard patterning, so that's all set. I also went ahead and did the same black wash over all the metallics there. Then I also took and did some dry brushing of metallic over a lot of the appliances and the top of the sign. And so we are ready for our brown wash. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and wash the entire model. I've picked out the details in here with the med kit, ammo, folders, the empty bottles, and the pistol. So when I apply the brown wash, it should tie everything together. And with the brown wash done, I will then be able to go ahead and attach this and call the exterior complete. Then we'll proceed to add some tufts and some foliage and do a bit of dry brushing on a couple surfaces. But next is our wash. So just going to take the brown cheapo artist paint you can get from most hobby stores. Just a smidge of that. And this stuff is very chunky. So that we apply some water. And we're just going to mix this all up. And this already had some black in it, so it's going to be pretty dark. I'm using my big brush again. I just want to test the side. Yeah, that looks good. Pretty grimy. If I want to lighten this up, I'd add some yellow, but I think this should be fine. So to start, I'm just going to go ahead and do the roof, since that's the easiest piece. And I'm just going to slather this on. Make sure to get it in those crevices, back of the sign, and the front here, and all these edges. And again, we're not trying to actually paint this because most of this is going to come off now. So before it dries, we're just going to wipe all of this. And since this is angled, we want to make sure that we're dragging just like this so that we get that look like its water has been running down and creating this mess. We'll let it kind of pool in that bottom trough. And we're going to wipe the signage a bit. And the back of it. These sides. And this is definitely the messiest part of working on this. We're just going to let that dry like that. And it'll do the building itself. And the same thing, we're not even really trying to paint it to stay. We're just going to kind of slather it on. Really want it into these nooks and crannies, doors especially. Get the outside here all nice and gunked up. Again, we're just kind of wiping down, so we're letting it stay in these cracks and in the tiling. Since we're wiping down, it removes it from the top but still leaves the stain underneath a lot of the patterning. I'm gonna get this really nice and gunky looking. And we really want to get the paint up under that. So let's go ahead and apply that. And again, we're just kind of wiping down. We want to leave all that collected dirt underneath it. Alright, and then the inside, make sure the Eventronic has some up under it. Just want to make sure the inside is also just as mucky as the rest. Make sure we're getting in these crannies there. Then again, just gonna wipe down. Now, if you wanted a lighter stain, just add more water, lighten it by adding some yellow or a different shade. But for what I want, I want this nice and almost disgusting looking. Alright, that's good. Okay, now, let's see. So that's good for the top and everything. I think I want a little watery for the exterior though, with actual ground, because it'll be soaked up into the ground somewhat. And then we're just gonna come in here, get all of this. Tiles here. These seats. And then for the board, we don't have to worry about wiping it off. All around here. All right. Then I'm just gonna do some circular motion with the staining there. I'm going to leave most of it inside the trash can. Wipe down that. A little off the top of the stools. Alright, so there we go. Nuka-Cola looking good. Colored in the ice with a nice blue. So what we'll do is let the cracks and everything dry up before we apply the glue, and then we'll attach this. It'll be all set. As you can see, we have now dry brushed this a little bit. Everything's pretty much where I want it. I'm really happy with how the rust on the roof came. That wiping technique really lets it flow and looks good. Also, the dripping I did down the front, well, a little heavy-handed in spots, I quite like. As we can see, everything's looking good, and if we take test models, they fit perfectly in there, so that's exactly what I wanted to see. In fact, let me just lift up and you can see how she peeks right over. So all of that looks good. So all that is left is to attach some tufts. So again, I'm going to use this Pico Scene static grass that has some dirt around it for a few spots, and then I'm going to use my Army Painter Highland tufts to just insert into, say, the gutters on the roof, that sort of thing, where it should be expected. So I've got my glue and I've got my little tweezers. So to peel these off a little bit, set them on the tweezer correctly. I mean, these are self-adhesive technically. I just I don't trust it, especially if I'm using non-flat ground. So with the amount of sand and whatnot, so we're just gonna stick that one there. Glue. Let's just go ahead and put that one right up against the wall. And that glue will dry clear. Now, I haven't glued this down, so I can always pull it up if need be, but it is nicely locked into the grooves, which I think is more than enough to secure it. Just have to be careful when moving it around, and if it pops up, no big deal, I'll pop it back down again. Then up against the ice machine. Alright. Looks good to me. Now, another thing I'm going to do is, I have the hole here where I removed one of the stools. So what I'm going to do is take one of the small tufts from the Army Painter. Ooh, got a bonus one there. We'll attach that to the roof. And we're just going to pop this in that hole, because that's where vegetation would naturally wind up sinking in anyway. So we don't have to be, you know, extreme with the amount of tufts, but it is nice to have them there. Alright. Let's see. Oh, don't forget the one I already popped out. Let's go ahead and put this in the front. Right here. And we're going with the smaller ones because they're the ones that will fit in the channels here. just one more, I think. There. All right. So we're going to call this done. I'll go ahead and take some prettier pictures to use in my light box so that it has it with some figures, but yep, quite happy with how this one turned out, especially the checkerboarding on the sides. I really like how that looks. So that was all very nice. And the weathering in general, quite happy with. So the first building of Plasticville, USA is complete.